All the links to the original posts are given in the description. So now let's head straight to the video. My relationship with my BF changed overnight after moving in. I have been with my BF for almost 2 years. It started off amazing. We moved in together 2 months ago and it's plummeted so fast. A day after moving in, he caused a scene at an outing. I told him I didn't like how he handled it and he proceeded to tell me I need to be on his side no matter what. I tried to explain that I will back him in public but in private I will share my thoughts. He told me it's all or nothing with him and I need to decide if I'm going to stay with him or if I'm going to leave. As if I didn't just sign a lease and move everything yesterday. He forgave me for not agreeing with him but proceeded to stay angry for a couple days. A few days later we had tickets to a show and he had a cigar on him, knowing there's no smoking and we will be getting checked. Security said throw it or leave. He just turned around to go. No discussion, nothing. A quick sorry later on but nothing else. I'd be so apologetic. And I had planned the whole thing myself. A few times I had emergencies come up and cancelled plans but I had to make it up. Like making up hours at work. Meanwhile I haven't been taken out to dinner in so long. And I cannot remember the last time he made plans for just us. One time I didn't want to make out with him because I had a cold and I was self-conscious. He hardly talked to me for 2 days and said I made him feel rejected and if I don't want to be around him, he can go sleep somewhere else. But that's taking it so far IMO. He has a good heart but I have seen a side that is so punishing and rigid. And it all happened so fast. This is just part of it. My question. Does anyone have advice on how to deal with highly sensitive partners? How to diffuse or word how you feel in gentle ways? Is it common for your partner to be more irritable after moving in? He started off so masculine and strong and I feel like it's switched and I'm dealing with a man who is constantly upset, who takes everything personally, who needs to be doted on unconditionally. And if it's not that way, the house is quiet with silent treatment until I step aside to apologize. Now let's move on to the second story. My wife has unrealistic expectations and I don't know what to do anymore. My wife and I have been married for 1 year. We knew each other 2 years before we got married. We are currently long distance. I moved to a European country for a PhD and she is going to be joining me soon. I'm on my way to the airport right now to go back to my country so I can visit her. I'm PhD student so I don't make a crazy amount of money. She wanted an iPhone 15 Pro Max and some bags. I paid for the bags with my own money and we split the cost of the iPhone. BTW, she has a job in our country and she makes decent money. Anyways, yesterday she told me that I forgot to get her a perfume that she wanted. She mentioned it briefly months ago and I completely forgot. I told her I could go to the store and I get it. She said that she doesn't want it anymore because she has too many perfumes. I didn't fall for the trap. I insisted several times but she kept saying that she didn't want it, so I didn't get it. While on the train, on my way to the airport, she tells me why didn't I ask her again this morning if she wanted the perfume. I was in complete shock. Another issue is that when I get to my country I won't see her for a couple of days because she works far from the city I'm landing in. The city I'm landing in is where my family and her family live. We planned that on Friday, she will come and we will meet and stay in hotel instead of staying with our families. While talking on the phone I noticed that she was mad and I asked her why. She said that she high expectations for this Friday. She asked me what I going to do for her this Friday. She insisted on me telling her because she hates surprises. So I told her I want to wrap all the gifts I got for her, even if she knows what they are. And I was planning to have dinner at the fancy hotel restaurant. I'm not kidding you. She was disappointed because she wanted me to do something that she saw on Instagram. She wanted me to tell her that I forgot to bring her iPhone. Keep in my mind, she knows I'm bringing it. And she wants me to give it to the waiter so he can bring it as a surprise. I'm assuming she wants to film it. Also, just FYI, my birthday was a week ago and I didn't celebrate it. And I don't have any expectations. I just want to see her. I don't care if she does something for me because of my birthday. She was such an amazing person. She doesn't care about money. She always pays for stuff and helps me out if my pay is late. But lately she has these crazy expectations, like we're living in a movie. Seriously, a waiter bringing the iPhone as a surprise. I would understand an engagement ring. But an iPhone. I want to communicate to her that these expectations are not realistic, but how do I do it without hurting her feelings? Now for the third story. I temporarily agreed to move to my husband's home country and he wants us to stay permanently, but I don't. How to approach this? Sorry, this is a bit long. I am from the UK and my husband is from the US. We met 5 years ago during my year abroad in America whilst I was a university student. We were together for a year in the US and he moved to the UK after we did long distance for an additional year. We've been married for 3 years and have a baby daughter. 2 years ago his dad was diagnosed with a serious health problem. And being an only child, my husband rushed to be at his side. His mom passed when he was a child, so he feels a lot of responsibility to take care of his dad as he was living alone at the time. Initially, the plan was to visit as often as possible, but he was worried that his dad would pass away at a time when he was back in the UK. He was also distressed because I was pregnant at this time. So when he was in the US with his dad, he was worried about me, and when he was in the UK with me, he was worried about his dad. It was all a very stressful situation for him, so I agreed to temporarily move to his hometown in the US. We own a house in the UK which we put up for rent, and moved into his childhood home in the US. My daughter was born in America as a result, and 2 months after she was born, my husband's dad passed away. It's now been 4 months since his dad passed. And last week I brought up the subject of when we should notify our UK tenants that we'd be returning, as we have to give them several months' notice to move out. He said we would talk about it later, and I could tell he was feeling low, so I let it go. Yesterday I brought it up again, and he basically told me he had thought about it and that he thinks we should stay in the US. His field of work is very easy to transfer to the US, and he'd earn a lot more here, and he believes that the quality of life is better in the US. I work in a field that would require me to basically retrain and requalify in order to be allowed to work in the same job here in the US, which is the main reason I don't want to stay here, as I don't want to start from square one in my career. I also don't agree that the quality of life is better in the US compared to the UK. Maybe that's personal bias, and every country has its problems, but life in America feels much harder than in England. I don't know how to work through this. We would probably be financially better off here if my husband worked whilst I retrain for the next few years, but I don't think that's feasible with a small baby right now, so it'll mean putting my career on hold indefinitely. I also miss the UK and don't really want to live here permanently. Any advice on how to approach this would be greatly appreciated.
If you like the story, hit the like and don't forget to subscribe the channel, and thanks for watching.